Okay, so this is section 2, how the system works. In this section, we're going to be talking about how the water gets from the main reservoir tank and into the grow bed area. So if you open this lid, stick your head inside, what you want to be on the lookout for are 2 blue lines. These lines connect to the main pumps that take water from the main reservoir and into the growing area. If you look over here, you're going to see these 2 pipes. They're labeled feed line B side and feed line A side. So the pumps in here are feeding these 2 lines. And if we follow these lines, they go up to the ceiling, and then they take a 90-degree bend and they go through the wall into the growing area. So here we are back in the main growing room area. We were just in the seedling and germination area talking about how the water gets pumped from the main water tanks through to 2 separate pipes that run up to the top of the grocer unit and up past this wall. So here we are on the other side of the wall now. And if we look up high into the corner there, there's 2 2-inch pipes. One breaks off into this direction, the other one breaks off into this direction. If we follow where these pipes go, you can follow them along the top. They keep going. They come to this section here, which is our first point of interest in terms of how the plumbing works. So if we look here, there is basically a line coming off that main line that runs along the top. So this is happening in what's called the T-junction. So that means that water continues to flow down to the end of the grocer in that direction, but it also breaks off at this point. Now if we follow this line, it zigzags back and forth. So here we are, further on down the line from the main water line that runs along the top of the grocer. As I was describing earlier, there's a T-junction that breaks off from that main line. Same thing is happening here. Have another T-junction, breaks off from the main line, and it zigzags back and forth down to the bottom. At each level, there's a series of black spaghetti tubes or feeder lines that each service its own individual grow bed. We continue along down to the end. Water is continuing down that direction, and at the end it breaks off. And water, just like what's going on here, water will zigzag down to the bottom. At each level, there's a series of spaghetti tubes or feeder lines that each service its own individual grow beds. And again, don't forget that this side is a mirror of this side. So the exact same thing is going on here. You've got a T-junction here that zigzags down and controls its own section of grow beds. Same thing is going on down at the end. So in this section, we're going to be talking about what happens to the water when it reaches the tops of each grow bed. So if we look here, we're going to see a thin film of water running along the base of this grow bed. This is about the perfect amount of flow rate or the amount of water that you want to be seeing in each grow bed. So if you were to remove a lid from one of the grow beds, you should be seeing a thin film of water running along the base. If we look at this grow bed carefully, we can see that it's angled downwards. So gravity is naturally taking the water from the top of this grow bed and every other grow bed and feeding it down towards the end of the grow bed. At the end of this grow bed, there's a pipe that takes that water and it feeds it into what is called an accumulator tank down at the bottom. The same thing is happening on this side, on the B side. Remember, this is where all water that enters each grow bed ends up before being pumped back to the main water tank. So inside each of these accumulator tanks is a pump. Water is continuously coming into this tank, coming into this tank. Water is then pumped from the pump in each of these tanks and up and into the seedling and germination room and back into the main tank.